Warning, prospector. I can see you are an industrious fellow, quite capable of real cool and look the real. But boy, an individual operating on a sweet spiritual hookup with the body. Not one to hold up your one to go out swinging, kicking and screaming. These steps down low, in the dirt, in the marrow of the matter. What you think doesn't want to be brought to light. The deal doesn't permit itself to be broken. Simply put, it's all the way down here for a reason. And by its own subterranean volition. Calling it the job don't make it right, boss. Trust me, I know your circumstance. I once ventured down into the depths, holding true that it is by going down into the abyss that we recover the treasures of life. Where you stumble, there lies your treasure. The very cave you were afraid to enter turns out to be the source of what you are looking for. The damn thing in the cave that was so dreaded has become the center. You find the jewel, and it draws you off. And loving the spiritual, you cannot despise the earthly. That Campbell, the cackler, never crawled into a crevice sniffing Peter. Never bled his eyes in a stunka tickle with a weak old reserve of strawberry farts. Willing in the world may be different up there. People can be broken by a cool breeze. And before you know it, you got a whole factory humming to your tune. But when the chips are down in the mud, and believe me, friend, they are, ultimately yielding has nothing to do with it. You see, venturing below before your time is set to lick the back of a coffin lid places extreme pressure on your cerebellum, pushing it down your medulla oblongata and further down your brainstem, resulting in a whole lot of metric tons of imaginary atrophy. Your muscles start to deceive you. Lie in a dream. And the strength our minds keep hidden away. Retain this, do not damage ourselves, our bodies. Here, down in the depths, that function starts to work against you. You mistakenly perceive weak blows as your full force, smashing against the surface. They are like drops of water on rock. What you perceive as erosion, slowly but surely forming a dented groove on the surface. Down here, displaced in time, far from the sun and the seasons, takes form. Your will, purpose, meaning, frustration, anger, want, carry with it a small mineral compound drawn from across your psychic surface of these sedimentary folds and sentimental brain orbs across the threshold where thought becomes action. Incarnate, your movements and force slowly take the shape of a stalactite, and your exertion and blows against the surface form a corresponding stalagmite, reinforcing that very spot you wish to enter. When a stalactite meets its stalagmite, they form one whole, a pillar. Exertion becomes being. Being becomes exertion. And there you have it. A stalactite needs a stalagmite, like a pickaxe needs a hole in the head. Erringly, not at all, forgetting the reality of how it is wrong. When you can no longer distinguish between your body and your desire, you become your will, your want, your need in the world. All encompassed in a singular pillar. Desire encased in condensed blur of urge. Be careful, dear prospector.
I remember the beach. The summer of Psytrance. 04 or 05, whatever. I was wearing a black top, which was sticking to my sweaty arms and the skin rather uncomfortably. The stench of Stroh-rum salt was about. Grabbing a chair, I lay down upon the chair and watched as various people eyeballed the white beast I was in the process of strapping to a leash. Then I removed the black top, good riddance, to reveal a cream lacquer bathing suit. This was the attire I wore, as it matched the beast's fur, and above all, we looked a picture with the horizon in the background and the setting sun. Then we walked down the coastline, past 3 or maybe 4 other beach parties. Alas! Like a queen in kitten heels walking her pigs on a leash, it seemed about 100 years ago. You ask me why? Why? My youth declared bankrupt? You do well to ask, sir. Nostalgie is a many-headed bitch. But hey, I'm a dog lover. For me, it's dog, not a cat. A dog's a dog, a cat, et je suis tout chien. It doesn't matter what you are, but who your dog is. It doesn't matter who you are, but who your dog is. Even though you might look $1 million in your maillot de bain. Or the string bikini you salvaged from a vintage shop for a tenner. I remember her from Norway. Her high perm, tongue-kissing a 40-year-old. C'est dégueulasse. I kept on having to mutter to myself, she may kiss whom she pleases to kiss, let it fly. You're not really that into her anyway. But she ran up to him from a 50-yard radius, and you could see him navigating between 2 blinks of a widening eye how to deal with his inevitability. Thighs thumping, breasts upon the offbeat, and then the crash. Like the birth of a twin seal, aerodynamic jaws flaccidly conveying spectral pleasure. Something so erotic it renders him limp, like Ariadne in the stream. Non terretsi strophio lactensis vinctas papillas. What polymorphia! Etiquette relictas sensit sipi membra sine viro. Poor sod. In her passion, he loses his sex. Multas gracias, Argo days. You see, now it's different. My animal de compagnie et moi. This is a dialectical, ontological, interspecies relationship between tamed beast and human owner. This supersedes human-to-human understandings of cohabitation. The idea of owner, which with dogs is closer to being obedient, is, contrary to popular opinion, counter-hegemonic in its relinquishing of individualism. You see, freedom is no longer just another word for nothing left to lose. It has become the very vehicle of righteousness and an emblem of fascism. It is said that once instead of liberté, fraternité et égalité, there were counter-postulates, which may have been succumbed to the same fate as so much of the bourgeois revolution, which rang volupté, élégance, et saleté. Bring back the year of the dog! Merde! Elle a du chien! And now, what's happened to her Pomeranian Lola? Died uneven. But the proprietor did an Oslo circuit of criminals and false prophets. Sleazy shaman. You should have seen Lola, the Pomeranian, doing gyres to the swarming drones of beach mushroom mania. Lola, my Lola, come back to me. Where have you gone so long? Come back, come back to me. That's enough.
Hello, prospector. Only arriving now? You won't find much left around here, I'm afraid. But maybe it's for the best. At its peak, the depravity that transpired here would shock the sensibilities of one uninitiated such as yourself. Men, having pierced themselves through with many sorrows, wandering in deserts and mountains and caves of the rocks, holes of the ground, before the terror of the Lord, may his name always be blessed, and the splendor of his majesty, when he arises to make the earth tremble. Men who in their leisure, as the poet Ovid wrote, revealed what kind of people they were. Men who, though created good, have, by the admission of their own free will, chosen to reject the full armor of God, the belt of truth, the breastplate of righteousness, the gospel of peace, the shield of faith, the helmet of salvation, the sword of the Spirit, for the divinity and sanctity of the source and all its promises.
Indeed, there were days when I myself, despondent at my inability to get a man to look through a lump of rock and into eternity, found it difficult to resist the temptation of the music that emanated from these dank, unwholesome halls. As Father Caspar said to Roberto when he appeared to him in a dream during his last days aboard the Daphne, hell, of which you know so little, you and all those along with you are proceeding with light foot and mad spirit. Did you believe that in hell you would find swords, daggers, and streams of sulphur? These are merciless torments, true, but such that the human mind can still conceive. No, the torments of hell are something different, because they are born not from our finite mind, but from the infinite mind of a wrathful and vindictive God, forced to display his fury and show that as his mercy was great in absolution, no less great is his justice in punishment. And as Roberto's twin brother Ferrante asked, and God? Does God laugh? No, alas, the excoriated man replied, because even humiliation would exalt us. How beautiful it would be if we could see at least a laughing God come to taunt us. What distraction! The spectacle of the Lord who from his throne among his saints makes sport of us. We would have the sight of another's joy as cheering as the sight of another's frown. No. Here, no one is outraged. No one laughs. No one shows himself. God is not here. Here, there is only hope without goal.
For can't you come any closer? Not the Red Riding Hood kind, don't worry, I will never eat you. No, this is the can't you come any closer so I can claw my way into your heart, your head, your soul. Can't you come so close you cease knowing which thoughts were yours and which I planted in the soil of your skull, or if there are even any left of the former? A is for ain't you just the most adorable little offspring I have ever seen, and I've seen my share, believe you me. They trickle through, but none like you. Imagine this could be your abode. Maybe A is for abode. Not bad for a bastard like yourself. The Mu is spacious enough for all my raptures, and I'd even let you go out and play from time to time. Play, not run away. If the story ends, it will begin again. This time on a series of sequestered islands traversed via the belly-up, bloated, floating frog-like creatures. Phantoms frog march from coast to coast in front of the scattered population of shivering islanders and cold craters. Mostly crabs sentenced to perpetually move the story from one side to the next. R is for the rotten little roaches who pass through as if they know what's down there. As if they know it is better to simply stay put right here, where you at least have company. You have me, and I own you, insofar as you see us. E is for eternity. Once you are in, that's it. And what a relief it must be. No more torn betweens, and if this, then that's. These tiles don't shine on their own, and the devil knows I sure as hell don't lick them myself. S is for the scrupulous scrubbing my body of creatures carried out for us to escape that ordeal of having to give advice to the emotionally unstable entities we used to tolerate while traveling back home. Wherever I allowed them to think home was each given time. S is for shut your mouth hole and stay with me a while. Slowly stagnate until you forget you came from somewhere and were headed another. From here on now you will wither away into my sway. Whether you draw the curtain or walk away.